Hey y'all, welcome back to Let's Talk Sis with your girl Tameca, a podcast made for us, by us, where we have real conversations that help us heal, love, impact, and most of all, empowers. So I am super excited today to introduce who I have with me. I still have my co-host, Ish. I'm waiting for him to get his own thing, but I have my co-host because I want us to hear about the male point of view about everything that we talk about, because, you know, as women, we only hear ourselves. So right. I'm just really interested in how the man thinks about, especially this topic we're going to talk about today.
Oh, we're going to dive into it. And once again, it's your man, Mr. Convo, back again. We're going to get into that good topic. I know we parking a lot of stuff. The week was good, very blessed. You know, I'm ready to go. Let's get it. Okay,
blessed week. Then I got my special guest, my girl, my therapist. My counselor, my coach, my everything. Sister. There you go. I forgot my sister.
She got 6 jobs.
Kandice, right? And Kandice, listen, I love you, girl.
Love you too.
I love you, girl. So I'm really excited about what you're going to bring to this topic in regards to the mental health part of it, and you know what we probably need to do to get ourselves together in life.
Yes.
And let's talk about these cookies too.
Okay. Yes. Before we jump into the mental health.
Yeah.
One of the most important things I brought y'all, the cookie broke because I put them in my personal way here, but I brought them cookies from Brown Butter Bakery in Arizona, and they're on TikTok at Brown Butter AZ.
Let's look at Brown.
They have an amazing
these
sale
cookies are really good.
Today,
let
so
me
you're
tell
gonna want to
y'all.
hit them up.
Melt
My
in your
favorite
mouth.
is the s'mores cookie. It's literally like campfire cookies. Like, I cannot wait until you eat that cookie.
Yes, look at that. Brown Butter Bakery.
And I'm telling you, like, tell me that when you bite into that, you don't feel like you're outside
Oh,
toasting
you
marshmallows.
ain't gonna have to worry about that taste because that
So
thing
good.
melt in your mouth.
So I
You
have the
just
brown
taste
sugar
all them
one.
flavors.
So I think that one, I don't know. I'm going to have to try all of them.
Oh, that was the churro one that I gave
Oh, the
you.
churro?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
There
brown
is a brown
okay.
sugar cookie. That's my favorite that they
Okay,
make.
that wasn't.
That sounds good too.
Yeah, they're really good.
Mm-hmm.
And black owned, woman owned. Come on,
Let's
support.
go.
Let's get
Black
it.
on, women on.
So let's kind of delve in, man. You know, as I was thinking about this topic, man, it took me a minute because I wanted to talk about. I always want to talk about relationships in the Black community. Most of all, not most of all of them, but mainly lately I've been thinking, because I've been trying to date, you know, so I've been thinking about men and women relationships, and that's a whole thing. Then some things happen, and I'm gonna talk about that in a minute. And then I wanted to now say, but I think that our problem really is just there's a mental health component to it, and we're not getting past those things, right? And so now we're bringing them into the relationships that we're having, and it's breaking us, right? And I've been saying lately that they're broken, so we broke. You understand? And I say they, but I mean it on either side. Whether you enter into a relationship with a man or you enter into a relationship with a woman, whoever's doing, somebody's broken typically, or both, right? And so we're getting broke. Yeah. The amount of times that I hear people talk about they don't want to be in a relationship because it's nothing positive. It's always because I tried that before. It's always because I can't trust them. It's always because they cheat. It's always because they're whatever they want to say, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
what do y'all think that's a...
I really think that people really need to clear their mind like yoga. You know, like, you know, just clear your mind before you start dating again. You know, find yourself, not even really find yourself, find out what you like again. Because a lot of times in relationships, we so focused on the other person, we forget about us. And I think that's where the breakdown is for men.
Okay.
You know, we forget about us, and then we feel like the woman done forgot us, and then we done left mentally while they're still fighting for us spiritually and emotionally. But we're gone already, unfortunately, and then we don't know how to bring it back because we do something stupid like go step out there with the next woman, and we not even ready for her.
Does that help, though?
No, it doesn't help. It helps for a minute because she's willing to step in and play that part for that moment right now. But after that moment is over, then what? I still got to go back over there and deal with that situation.
What you think?
I think it's interesting with dating. So let me back up and start by saying I've been married for 18 years. I've been 19 years this year. So I've been off the dating circuit.
Was you ever?
A long time. Like 6 months maybe. And then I met my husband when I was 20, and we got married when I was 21. So it was really, really early in. But over the years, I've learned a lot in relationship, which is why I'm in the process of writing a book right now, and I'll go into that a little bit. But I've also watched more recently over the last 5 years, the conversation surrounding dating and relationships between men and women, particularly in our community. And I think some of the very interesting things that I've seen stand out are really the mindset people have about relationships and the purpose of them. When you have like these hot topics like who eats first, your kids or your husband, like things like that
That's
are
a hot one.
so not important questions to discuss nor make deal breakers, but people have massive arguments over it.
Right.
And you see people get into these like heels in the ground fights about their perception of what they think a relationship is. But the fact of the matter is, anybody that you talk to who's been in a long-term relationship, especially happy ones, they're going to tell you there was days that they did not like their partner or they were frustrated. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily this romanticized concept about relationships that I think a lot of us have. And I'll even say myself, because I think sometimes I have it, right? And
I definitely be thinking.
When you go into the dating scene and you have this romanticized vision of, oh, it's supposed to be like this. When we think about like a man that we're going to date, we're not thinking about a man that is emotionally intelligent enough to, when the time happens, he can break down and cry in front of us because it's a safe space. We don't imagine that. We think about oftentimes like our fathers. My dad, I think I've seen him cry twice my entire life. Yeah. And that was the standard. You're a man, you're not supposed to cry. So going into relationships, we hold on to stuff like that. And I think that's problematic from the jump. So a lot of our issues, I think, are in our preconceived conceptions of what a relationship is supposed to be.
Ain't that the
truth? I believe that. And I think that that's some of the conversation that has to happen. So I remember, because I go to therapy, y'all. So I remember in our session, you had asked me to write down what I'm looking for, right? And I've had this list over and over. I've revamped this list since 2010. So I revamp it again. Mm-hmm. And everything when I pulled up that other list, I was like, yeah, that's not it. He got to be fine, but not fine. Yeah, that's like not high priority, right? I don't think I needed to have that. And so I want to talk about, first, before we get into what we think should be happening, right? I would love to talk about, one of the things we came up in my therapy session was, because I said I wanted them to be healed. And he was like, yeah, what does that look like? And I was like, healed? Yeah. Like, why are you asking me that? And he was like, yeah, that's not probably what it's going to be. However, the question that we came up was, what do you think about therapy? Wasn't your question. It's the question that I was supposed to ask.
Yes.
You don't even remember.
Yes, I do remember that now. How do you feel about therapy?
Yeah, how do you feel about therapy, and what do you think about my little earring coming off? What do you think about therapy? And that's been an awesome question. Can you imagine the answers I've been getting?
No, I can't.
You can't.
Very different. I believe they was very different.
Do you think they said that they want to go to therapy, or are they okay with therapy, or therapy is good? Think about.
A lot of us are scared of that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because we weren't taught, or we didn't get a chance to see that in our home. Yeah, we get a chance to see that in our home. And again, another community rule that seems to be holding us back right now. It's like, okay, once you get to a point in a relationship and you can't talk to your significant other the way you need to talk to them to get that point across, yes, you need to bring in somebody else who can calm y'all down, stop the argument so you can talk, so you can actually hear and listen what the next person is saying, so the message was received perfectly. Right. There's no doubt, there's no questions. This is what I said. This is what I meant. This is the avenue I want to go down.
Let's back up a little bit, because that is all true. Mm-hmm. That's all
true.
Thank you, sis. However, I'm going to need you to kind of go on over to some therapy prior to us even being in a relationship, because some of the stuff is just really that some of the arguments I feel like that people get into is just that they haven't been in a therapy session or haven't dealt with any of the things, don't even know it's something to deal with.
Right.
I hate to say this in relationships that I deal with, but I've realized I want to talk about narcissism in the Black community.
Oh.
And so that's not going to be today, but I watch it and I'll be like, so then here's the question. They don't even got to tell me. I said, where your mama at? How do you interact with your mom? Oh, I don't.
Oh, you hit them in the right spot, though.
But I don't be trying to hit them in the spot. I just be trying
to
see what I feel and what I know is the reason what's going about. This is about to be a bad situation for me. Because if you have an issue with your mother, typically you're going to have an issue with me until you go handle that.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
The question is, how do you feel about therapy, right? I posted that on Facebook this week, and there no men chimed in. all the women said, "Oh yes," I'm excited about that, because in a time where we used to, historically we used to not believe in that kind of thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I was excited that they was like, "Yeah, we need a therapist, right?"
Fellas, go to therapy.
Please.
It's okay.
Yeah.
You know what? Therapy can even be you taking the time to go talk to your big sister. If she's real enough to give you the real from a female's point of view and take out the brother sister thing, you got a real one, and you might want to go do that. You need to do, fellas, we need to do something, because the ladies are tired of us coming in with all these excuses, all this broken stuff. We can't communicate, can't hold a two-way conversation. We get mad at everything. We looking at, oh, you cheating, this, that, and the third one. All along, those are insecurities we should have took care of before we entered that relationship.
However, listen, let me say this, because I remember, and let me get into why I came up with this topic. So I was in a relationship in 2020, and we almost got killed together. And in after that happened, so much stuff came out, because a lot of times when you have a trauma, when you stuffed your trauma and then you have a traumatic situation, you go back to that trauma.
Yes.
And we're starting all over. So I was able to watch that happen in him, and he became a whole different person. And you will understand these words. If we talk about Arrested Development, like he became like 12 again.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, and I was like, whoa, like who am I dating? However, on Monday they found him. I don't even know what happened. They said he passed away in his sleep, the only information that I got. And in that moment, the only thing I can think about is you never even got a chance to heal, man. Yeah. That's all I can think about. And then I remember you asked me yesterday, do you feel free? Now, I do. The only reason I feel free is because it was a burden for me, I felt like, because I saw everything that was going on. Mm-hmm. The issues that he had, which right now wouldn't be respectful to anybody to talk about them, but I will come back because there's going to be a book.
We parking lot those?
We won't parking lot them. But what ended up happening is now, I'm thinking like, okay, he never got an opportunity, and I'm thinking about all the things that I learned in that relationship. But what I do want to say about, I had a conversation with him one time, and he said, I'm talking to my friend, so I'm getting therapy. And I heard you just say, well, let's talk to your sisters. Now watch this. Everybody's not qualified to give advice, though.
That is true.
And you got to be super careful, because when you have a therapist, they're trained, right, to kind of guide you over here. And there's a lot of guidance that can happen at that time. We sometimes I'm going to tell y'all, there's not too many people that I'm going to talk to about anything.
That is true.
That's going to be able to lead me somewhere. You know what I mean? Because we have a lot of this trauma going on. So a lot of people speak from their traumas, right?
Right.
So what I really want to happen is us to get in a safe place and have people. That's what on the podcast, made for us by us. What we're going to do is we're going to bring people that have good information and that I know that are qualified as yourself, right? Mm-hmm. You have given me a lot of, I don't know, what's it been, it might be about 4 years since I didn't. That's a whole. I done came to her multiple times.
Talk
with
about
multiple
it. Talk
issues.
about
I know
it.
she was
Talk
like, what is
about
this
it.
girl
Talk
doing
about
now?
it.
But I really enjoy the information that you give, and I always take away something. And here's one thing that probably will help. You was talking about, being at it with your woman or your wife or whoever. And I remember you said to me, but I'm not your therapist.
Right.
So I need you to go.
Right.
I was like, whoa, that was big, because I think that we be trying to be the
Yes,
therapist.
yes.
Women, we want to help. We want to say, do this, and this is what you should do, and all that. And I remember God, even in that moment, he told me that when I was dealing with him, he said, you're not his teacher. But I couldn't get him to go get help.
The interesting thing about that, when I say the therapy thing, I have talked to my husband about it at times where we were going through our stuff, and I'm actually in school right now to become a therapist. My background is coaching. I've worked in mental health. I know I have a DSM diagnostics manual in my bookshelf in my bedroom.
Nice.
So, I mean, theoretically, can I diagnose him and stuff? Yeah, to some degree. But I told him, I was like, I can't be your therapist. I can be your best friend. I can be your lover. I cannot be your therapist because it's difficult to do that and then turn around and still respect the way I want to.
Yes, yeah.
So for me, my thought process is you have to have that space. And the reason why I would be more of a push towards therapy versus a friend is kind of with the qualifications. When you think about if you had an infection, you're not going to go to a friend of yours sorry, that was my sister.
Oh,
You're good. You're good.
You're not going to go to a friend of yours and, they may tell you, like, take orange juice, stuff like that. But you have to go to an actual physician because there's specific tests they need to run to get an accurate diagnosis and therefore treat correctly.
Very true.
I think with our community, the reality is many, if not most, or almost all of us have trauma. So when we're dating and we're going into dating relationships, we are all carrying a level of baggage and trauma, even if it's our very first relationship.
Yes.
And that goes into a whole side detour politically and stuff. But there are elements of that. And when you said about asking if they go to therapy, I don't think that that's necessarily a deal breaker if they say, well, I haven't started going, but I'm open to it, because they're still willing to invest in their own mental health. I think if it's someone that's like, I don't believe in that, I don't do therapy, and they don't cry and they don't discuss things, you are headed for a very difficult line of communication.
I agree with that, but can I tell you another form of therapy men actually do have? It's sports. And I play sports. Sports is very therapeutic for a lot of men. We can go in there, tune everything out while we're practicing, while we're doing our exercises, while we're doing our drills. We go in there, tune everything out to get our mental health right. Listen to some music, figure out how we want to say things to our significant other without shouting. That way when we have parking lot those topics, we can come back to them with the open sound mind so we are able to talk. A lot of us men don't want to talk because, we've been traumatized by a woman. They have told us, made us feel small. Mm-hmm. Hey, talk to us, in a tone that it's like, wow, why are you talking to me like that? So when the next woman come along, even though she's haven't given him those attitudes and those responses, we're still not able to hold those two-way conversations. But you know what? We need you. Honestly, we need you to stop feeling like we're tugging sometimes. And honestly, I'm going to be honest, sometimes it is a tug because we stubborn by nature. But hopefully, if you can calm down enough to pull us back so we're not being like that. We need to be pulled back too sometimes.
That stuff be sounding all good, right? It sound all good. It sound all good. It sound all good. It sound beautiful. It sound awesome. But it is not easy to get somebody who has trauma
at all
to do anything you just said.
I agree with you.
First, let me say this. You have to understand therapy and therapeutic. It is to heal something. So when I go to the gym, I'm not going to heal anything. I'm going to cope. I'm having a coping skill. Mechanism. So I'm going to use that coping skill, right? But I still need the tools, right? Mm-hmm. And the problem is the tools. And there's something called cognitive dissonance. It's when you only know your not even what's been taught to you. Mm-hmm. And as soon as somebody gives you something, you reject it. So if the woman is already the issue, right? I can't really give you too much. So to me, I'm going to tell you what happens in narcissistic personality disorder. They'll say, in the beginning, they'll say, yeah, I'm willing to go to therapy. Mm-hmm. And then you get in there and all of that first love bombing stage is just falseness, fraudulent.
Hold on, what you call it? What you call it? Love what?
It's called love bombing.
I love it.
The love bombing stage is when I'm going to do everything you want to say. Okay. Right? So I'm going to need, for me personally, I don't have that, but I'm 45, y'all. I do not have time to wait for you to think about going to therapy. I need you to actively already know that you need something that's not me. I need you to know that. I need you to be seeking something actively. Like I did think about, what do you think about therapy? But for me, that opens it up to what have you done, and do you feel like you have something that you need to do? Yeah. Because what I find, it don't take me long. Because of course, like you said, we already know that. I'd be like, I went on a date, and we was talking. And he was like, everybody else was like all over there. They didn't hear it. And I said, whatever. And it was not a disagreement. It was a disagreement, but not an argument. Okay. Nobody was yelling. We was talking low. He said, we're not going to do this outside in public where everybody's watching us. And I just turned around, and if you saw how far them people was back there, all in their own thing, there was only two other people in the. I said, I said, listen,
about the wrong thing.
He was, but that already tells me.
It does.
The insecurity that's going to happen, all of the problems I'm about to have with you, and I'm not. You got to be to a certain place, right? For me. Now I could that don't have to be for everybody else because everybody got grace for what they got grace for.
Right,
but what
right.
I've been doing this over and over again, and I'm just like, that's just a lot of work. And I'm not your therapist at this point, right? So you have to have certain qualities that we're not gonna be, because that's a struggle. I did that in that relationship, and when I tell you I almost died in that relationship mentally, I don't want to do. I just now been able to recover. Last year was probably the year that I was able to actually be different, and I'm still trying that. That was too much, because if you ever deal with somebody with that much trauma, eventually it bleeds all over you.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be bled on, man.
Yeah,
I don't want to be
I
bled
heard
on.
that.
Those things are hard to come out. They really are. Fellas, man, get yourselves right, man. We do a lot. You know what? I'm just going to say it. I've been on the blogs and stuff, fellas, and all I hear is a lot of soft complaining. Y'all doing a lot of complaining about the women, but what are y'all going to bring to the table? Y'all bringing a lot of trauma. You're bringing
So are we,
extra
though.
kids.
Yeah.
But the thing
bringing
about
all that too.
y'all bringing all that too, but the men are the ones who doing the most complaining. And then
Maybe that's just what you hear.
they're doing a lot of
Because I think
complaining.
we
man.
both.
It's
I
just-
hear a
think
lot
it's
of women
coming from
complain.
both
Both
it's-
sides.
Yeah.
Fellas, sometimes you just gotta man up and look yourself in the mirror and go, you know what? My name is this. This is the problem, and
this
I
is who
have
wanna
to
be.
fix it.
Yeah, and this is who I want to be. I think first you have to identify, and that's important. Like right now, let's identify what is the
What's the problem?
besides trauma. Like what kind of, not besides trauma, but what is the problem? So now, because it's us against them, right?
And
When
we
it
don't
feels
want that. We
when
don't
we're
want
dating.
that.
We talked about protect the black
Protect
woman
the
and black
black
man.
women.
But what do you think the problem is?
That's such a loaded question. I
It
don't know
is.
that I would be able to answer
Me
that
either.
like specifically
I
or
need
spot
some.
on. I do think though that, like I said, I just think that there's a lot of pain on both sides, and I think when we
Yes.
go into relationships, one of the most important things for us is for us to work on ourselves. A lot of times when I sit with couples, they're surprised because they come in with me expecting it to be me picking a side, and then we work on some person, and it's not like that. Typically, I'm like, okay, here's your issues, and here's some of your takeaways for you to help work on that. Here's some skills, coping mechanisms for you to improve in those areas. And I think that that's kind of the mindset we have to go into. In the beginning of a relationship, any relationship is going to feel like a chess game, because you're kind of like, okay, do you like me? Do you like, you kind of go through that initial part. But then there comes a time in the relationship where you guys are no longer opponents and you're now a team. And a part of that structure changes then when you're working as a team, and a part of the team is everybody has to play their part. You got to go to therapy. If you know you have trauma, which most of us do, just go. I had talked to my husband about going to therapy before, and at first he was like, I don't need to go. But he did go, and he said that, there was times where he felt it was beneficial, and I'm not going to front. There was times where he was like, this is a waste of my time. And so I understand where that's coming from, but he did not walk away from that experience totally like I shouldn't have went.
Yeah.
So he
I
still
think
pulled
that
from
that
something.
will always, I think that's some things that we have to think about when we go into therapy. First, we got to make sure that we're with the right therapist.
Yes.
Right.
For us.
Right.
Because you might be the right therapist for me, but you may not be the right therapist for him. But we first got to go to the right therapist, and then we have to know that sometimes everything isn't applicable, everything that is said, but always looking for what we could take out of it. Here's the goal for me for us to heal our relationships in the black community. And I think we have to start with the man and woman. We have to start and getting those positions back together. And my answer to my question is pain, is trauma. I talk about trauma all the time. We have to get past that trauma. And if y'all have kids, man, do y'all kids well, because that's real. And it's mothers. I know this is rough. This is rough, but we're the main nurturers.
Yeah,
so if they have this trauma is an emotional thing. Well, emotional trauma. Yeah. It's emotional. It's feelings. It's your self-awareness. Right. It's all this stuff. And so if you fail to give them that, then you.
And can I just throw something in there? Can I throw something over here real quick?
I'm trying not to talk about people.
Can I throw something in here? Like, I think we have to get away from allowing pain to be our teacher.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's good.
We allow pain to run our lives. It teaches us, about that person. It teaches us about the next person. Then we carry that. You got to break that pain cycle. When you get a headache, you take a Tylenol because you want to break that pain cycle. we have to learn how to do that so we don't keep traumatizing each other over and over again.
That's good.
And for us as men, you know, we have to. I'm gonna keep it all the way 100. When a woman give us that outs with our kids, we gotta learn how to sit down, lay down, and fight with her with them kids, and learn how to co-parent.
All the time.
You know, and I fell victim of that to myself. Like, you know, just to share a little bit, you know, just not wanting to have those arguments nowhere because they became useless to me. It's like I'm missing time from work. I'm running back and forth to court. You wasted my money. You already know what you're going to do. Just say what you want to do so we can move on and move past this so the kids don't be hurt. But I became the victim. I became the fall guy. I was like, you know what? I'll play the GOAT.
I think we've had this conversation, and you seem a little receptive to it today because you were really upset when I used to say this, but I agree. There is nothing in the world that would make me sit down. I don't care how much rah-rah you got in you. I got more rah. I don't care, because at the end of the day, what we fail to see, because I hear a lot of men and women say that, well, I ain't even going to bother with that because, you know, I don't got time and all of that. But then these kids become adults that we're talking about right now.
And they come out
They need their mother and father.
Yeah.
See, something my mama taught me, shout out Miss Johnny Howell. What she taught me is that it doesn't matter about what they're doing financially or any of that. They should always know who their father is. Right. And you should make a space for that if you can. Absolutely. Right. And so all of my kids know who their father was. They still didn't be there like they should have been, but it wasn't my place to keep them away from them. Right. And sometimes we do that. And I get it. I get it, brother. But I need y'all to fight for y'all children.
Yeah.
We don't want to see. This is another thing. This is what happens in those urban rules you talked about last week. Urban rules is don't let nobody in your business. We don't want the white men in our business. Go to court. That's what it's there for. Go to court if you need to go to court. Call the police if you need to call the police, because they're not doing what they need to do.
But at least try, fellas. At least put yourself in the position to where, you know what, if she asks you for something and you don't got it right now, say you'll try to get that on Friday or whatever, and see how that goes.
Please give me $5.
And then if she's unreceptive to that, then you got a whole different set of issues. And then, you know what, then maybe the courts might be the best option.
Might be.
Because we're not getting along. We're not coming to no mediums. We're not teaching routines. We're not teaching anything.
And can I just say this too, just to add on to that, and I know I'm a woman speaking on this, but to the brothers, please speak up when you have a friend who is not on their stuff.
Yes,
hold them accountable. And when you hear a man is fighting for his kids, support him. I watched a friend of mine who was going through this, and the comments from other men and I had to stop checking the comments. I was so mad because they were saying stuff that was very emasculating towards him, like because he was quit crying about this.
That's cold.
Stuff like that. And
we talked about
we gotta talk. We gotta come back. Like, we're gonna come back and talk about urban rules, because that's what you were talking about. And those are the things that we teach, and we pass down wrong ideas and mindsets and stuff like that. And so we gotta get up here. I can't even believe it's been this long. But listen, this is what I want to talk about real fast before we get it. So we talked about the problem. We talked about a little bit that therapy is part of the solution to the problem. We talked about confronting the issue, knowing, like, we really got to look in the mirror and self-reflect. We talked about that. We talked about what you just said is when you see somebody going through, pull them to the side. See, my problem that I always have is because I be like, listen, that don't look too, you probably want to go check, whether it's my friend, my kids, and they always have a problem because people are not used to that. People are not used to hearing, we sugarcoat stuff, and we don't want to hurt people's feelings. And I said this, and I told my ex that passed away, rest in peace. What I told him I said, I will always fight with you together for your freedom, man. I said, and if that means you're upset at me, then you're going to be upset. I tell my kids at the same time, y'all can be upset at me, but I parent y'all for real.
That's powerful.
My grandmother used to say, I love you enough to let you hate me.
Listen,
that's powerful.
Because at the end of the day, I told my kids this, I said, but y'all always run into mama. Because they don't like
it's not
what
enough
it is.
of that it's not enough of that going to the males.
It's not I think all of us are getting it. You know, I think all of us are not. It's not enough of us supporting them. Yeah. There's no more village.
Stop screaming at the kids.
I think we gotta build up the village. But listen, we're gonna get out this piece for this week. Where you can find me at is TikTok Tameca88. You can find me on my Instagram at Tameca8. And then on, what else do I have? Facebook is just Tameca Howell, TamecaHowell. Y'all get at me, man, and let's have these conversations, because we need to continue this stuff. I want y'all to tell them where they can find y'all at, and don't forget about this brown
man.
butter,
Y'all want
brown
one of them
butter
cookies?
bakery.
Y'all want one of them
about the
cookies?
brown
You know what?
butter
I'm
bakery, man.
gonna speak about it, and just because I always say I'm Mr. Convo, I'm gonna show y'all how to do this. I'm gonna let the female go first.
Excuse me.
That's how you supposed to do that thing,
Let's
fellas.
Go. Let's go. 555.
Right.
2. No.
So my name is Kandice. I'm the owner and a behavior change coach at Sunflower Health AZ. You can go to www.sunflowerhealthaz.com to see all the services we have. We do have therapy. We have coaching. Just really quickly, if you don't mind, I'm going to explain the difference between coaching and therapy. Therapy is a therapeutic intervention. It's usually diagnostic, and they're working on some trauma. Coaching is where we look at skill sets where we teach different skill sets and coping skills to help you reach a goal. So there's 2 different reasons why a couple would come to me, either for therapy or for coaching.
We need both.
Right. So those are available on our website. Please follow my socials. You can follow me on TikTok. I believe I'm Who Am I? WHOEMIYE or Kandice James. I'm also Sunflower Health AZ on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram.
Let's spell Kandice James.
Oh yeah, Kandice, and last name James, James.
She's a goat, y'all. I really need y'all to know that she's a goat. Real quick, therapy before coaching. Typically, it's hard to coach on top of if you don't have any therapeutic services first.
Usually they go together.
And it's your boy, Mr. Convo. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Mr. Convo on both sites. You know, and always it's two hand legs up, guns down, conversations up. Let's go.
Okay, all right. Now we see y'all next week.
Bye, guys. Thanks